Hello friends, in this tutorial I'll show you how to install a CarPlay screen on a BMW E90 in DIY mode. This screen is super fast, menu scrolling can be done using the joystick or via touch, it retains the original BMW menu and of course adds wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto or even mirroring so you can enjoy your favorite music, the navigation apps you like and even mirror your phone for those moments when you're waiting for someone or barely moving in traffic. Let's start with a short unboxing. In this box we have the 8.8-inch screen that my client purchased online from CarABC based on my recommendation since I've already tested many CarPlay modules from them. However, this is the first CarPlay screen I'm installing, so I'm really excited to see whether it's faster than a standard CarPlay module. Let's see what we get in the package for a price of around $200. Of course, we have the 8.8-inch screen which comes with a housing identical to the original display. The client initially wanted me to install a CarPlay module, but a very interesting thing is that this screen is actually cheaper than a dedicated BMW CarPlay module. And as I mentioned earlier, if you use my 15% discount code, the price of the screen drops to just $194. You'll see in the testing part of this video that it's worth every penny. I mean, why pay more for a CarPlay module when you can replace your old screen with a touchscreen instead? By the way, you can find all the links and the discount code in the description or in the comments of this video. I really like the fact that the screen is quite heavy, giving the impression of a quality product. On the back side we have the ports for all the connectors. Don't worry, each connector fits only in one port, so you can't mix them up. And I'll show you everything step by step. Here we have the main wiring harness with the two large connectors at the end called Quadlock. One connects to the original Quadlock and the other will go into the original media unit. What needs to be mentioned now is that in this corner we will have to move the fiber optic connector from the original plug. You will understand better at that moment. Another important aspect to mention is that the sound will be taken through this cable labeled audio out, which we need to connect to the aux port in the armrest. I would have liked this cable to be a bit longer because it was right at the limit, but I managed without any problems. There is also an aux in, but it does not help us. We must connect the aux out cable to the port in the armrest. This is the connector that powers the screen, so it will need to reach all the way up behind it. On it there are also several RCA video ports. This is a great moment to install a reverse camera if the car is not equipped with an original one. For manual gearboxes, however, you'll need to power the camera from the reverse lights, so it involves a bit more work. Another important aspect is that for CIC system, which is exactly what this BMW has, it is specified on this label that this wire must be disconnected. However, during installation I tested the sound and it was very low, so I actually had to connect them in order to have proper audio. So this may differ from car to car. First test the audio and only then decide if it is necessary to connect these two wires. We also have here a connector for two USB ports in case you want wire CarPlay, but I don't really see why you would install them because CarPlay works perfectly wireless. Of course, we also have a very useful user manual that contains wiring diagrams and instructions for using all the functions of the screen. I'm obviously not going to present the entire manual, so we don't make this too long, so let's go to the car and start the installation because it's already late and most likely it will get dark. With a simple trim removal tool, I will unclip this long trim from the dashboard. I love the fact that on BMW all trims come out much easier than on other brands. Now you'll need to remove this connector from the start button. It comes out very easily if you press on the side clips. I'm using a pick tool just so you can see everything better, but you can easily do it with your fingers. This panel with buttons from the middle of the air vents is easy to remove if you push it from the inside. So push from here and it will come out very easily. Then we have to remove two connectors. We finished the first step, now we can put this long trim aside. This climate control panel also unclips very easily. These connectors have a locking tab on the upper side. Press it, lower the plastic lever to horizontal and pull the connector out. This connector is a bit more annoying because the side locking tabs are harder to access. Here is exactly where they are located. Take a picture of the routing of this ribbon cable so it helps you later to put it back in the same position. Now we have to remove this plastic frame around the media unit. Don't rush, these cars are already old and it would be a shame to crack a trim because of rushing. We remove the frame and move on to removing the Phillips screws that hold the media unit. All 4 screws are identical. Both on automatic and manual gearboxes, you'll need to move the shifter to the lowest position so you can remove the media unit. The media unit slides out very easily. Here are the connectors on the back, we only need to remove the Quadlock connector. First, let me show you how to remove the original screen. You'll need a T8 Torx bit to remove 2 screws from the top that hold the screen housing to the dashboard. To remove the screen, tilt it forward and pull it out. And here are the connectors on the back. This is the LVDS cable connector. Press this locking tab and remove the connector. Then remove the power connector. I will also detach the cables held in a few clips on the screen and we are done with it. We go back to the media unit and start removing the Quadlock connector. It has at the bottom a plastic lever that can be lifted if you press on a locking tab. Here is how this system works. Then in this corner we have the connector for the fiber optic cables, which must be transferred to the aftermarket connector. Just lift this clip and pull the connector out. Then I take the aftermarket female Quadlock connector and connect it to the original one. Lift the plastic lever, insert the connector and then lower the lever. Now I insert that connection inside and move the fiber optic connector to the aftermarket Quadlock that will go into the media unit. Lift the lever, insert the connector and lower the lever. Now we need to guide this wiring harness all the way up to the screen and the audio jack connector needs to reach the armrest. I will insert it through the opening of the media unit. Then I will bring it out into the cabin just above. Then again through the inside behind the HVAC console. It is important to pull up all the excess cables because otherwise it will be difficult to reinstall the media unit. Now I can route the cable to the back of the screen. When installing the ventilation tubes, you need to make sure this cable is not in the way. We will move it aside at that moment. The audio cable needs to reach the armrest and as you can see it is quite short, so try not to tangle it behind the unit and lose even more length. Now I will connect the necessary cables to the CarPlay screen. This is the power cable and this is the LVDS cable. As I said, I don't see the point of the USB connector, so I will not connect it. I can already fix the screen and do the first test. The screen works, but we need to set the correct resolution for the original menu, otherwise it will either not be displayed at all or it will look distorted. We need to go into settings, original car screen resolution and select the correct option. For this car the correct resolution was 1280 by 480 CIC Evo. Here is how the original menu looks now. If you don't select the correct resolution, the main menu will look like this, so it's a matter of trial and error. The joystick works as well. To return to the screen menu, just tap the screen. To access the original menu, tap OEM car info. Audio was also fine, so I started putting everything back together. Very important note, the connection of the 2 Quadlock connectors behind the media unit can make your life a nightmare. The best solution, and probably the only one, is to move it somewhere in the lower right side of the housing. Unfortunately, the space is too tight to film the exact location, but you will understand when you reinstall the unit. The next day I routed the aux cable under the trim next to the gear shifter, which unclips very easily. Then I removed the small cover with the jack port, gaining a few extra centimeters, and connected the cable. This way the connector is no longer under tension in a vertical position and we won't have any issues with the sound. Of course, you could also use an extension cable with a 90-degree jack connector. I followed the exact same steps in reverse order to put everything back. I didn't film this part because I started late and I was under time pressure. In total, I would say the installation took about 2 hours, and that's because we also had to film everything. Let's move on to the testing part. To activate both CarPlay and Android Auto, you just need to turn on Bluetooth on your phone and connect to the screen. After the first pairing, it is enough to turn on Bluetooth and the connection will be made automatically. Also, if Bluetooth is already on, when you turn on the ignition and the screen starts, the connection is made automatically. Let's see how long it takes for Android Auto to load. All recordings are in real time, so you know exactly what to expect. It took about 13 seconds from the moment I tapped connect until the interface loaded, so you won't even leave your driveway and you already have CarPlay active. For scrolling through the menu, you can use the original joystick or the touchscreen. I will use both so you can see the response time. Entering destinations is obviously much more difficult using the joystick, so it's much easier with the touchscreen.
E pregătit. Să pornim. Virează la stânga.
Let's do mirroring from an Android phone. For this, we will use the AutoLink Pro app because Android does not have a built-in feature like AirPlay on iPhone. Now let's test CarPlay. For the first pairing, just like with Android Auto, you need to connect to the screen's Bluetooth. Its name starts with car followed by some random numbers. Then just allow a few permissions. As I said, this is only required for the first time. After that, just turn on Bluetooth and CarPlay will start automatically. I also removed the screen's protective film because a label covered a part of the menu.
dălmașul, lasă fluierașul. Adu-mi dughi, yoga și cuțătul, să urle pădurea, că-o venit urâtul. Cheamă totul scrinii împrejurul stânii, că-i vreme de moarte, să ne facem
Hey Siri, drive to Budapest.
Getting driving directions to Budapest using Waze.
Să începem deplasarea, condu prudent. Efectuează o întoarcere U. Apoi virează la dreapta.
And as usual, we will finish with AirPlay and the conclusions. Screen mirroring to an MIB1 or MIB2 media for the Wi-Fi antenna and one for power, and the dip switch that is set according to the car model and the screen size. Honestly, I was completely amazed by how good this CarPlay screen is. From my point of view, it is a great upgrade for this BMW model because it keeps the OEM look of the interior. CarPlay and Android Auto activation is fast, the connection is very stable, scrolling through menus is smooth and fast, and the touchscreen is very responsive. Leaving aside all these functional aspects, the price is also an important factor when making a decision, since the price is even lower than a CarPlay module which involves exactly the same installation steps. I think this is a much better option because it also gives you a touchscreen, making navigation much easier than using a joystick. The only thing I can say that could be improved is Android mirroring, which has a slight lag. However, this is common for all systems because Android uses a third-party app. AirPlay, on the other hand, works very well, the screen resolution is very good and videos look very nice. However, I recommend not using video while driving because it is very distracting. That's it for this tutorial and review. Don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment. Until next time, I wish you safe travel and all the best. Bye bye.